Have you ever watched a woman slowly pull away? Stop texting first. Stop asking about your day. Stop looking at you the way she once did, and wondered what happened? Have you ever sat there staring at your phone, replaying every conversation, trying to figure out why she seemed interested one week and distant the next? You gave your attention, you gave your effort, you showed up, and somehow it still slipped away. If that sounds familiar, stay with me, because what most men never realize is that the moment a woman truly believes she has lost you, something fascinating begins to happen inside her mind. I'm glad you're here, because this is the Stoic way, where we uncover the real psychology that creates desire. And I'll warn you now, the final one is incredibly powerful. It can change everything fast, and almost no one uses it correctly. Before we begin, understand something important. When a woman knows she lost you, her behavior changes. Not because she suddenly became a different person. Not because she is playing games, but because deep emotional mechanisms begin activating beneath the surface. And if you've never understood those mechanisms, you can easily miss every sign. The truth is that most men spend years believing attraction is about saying the right words, buying the right gifts, or proving their value over and over again. It isn't. Attraction is emotional first, logical second, and that's where most men get trapped. They try harder. She feels less. They pursue more. She pulls away further. Then they assume something is wrong with them. But listen carefully. This was never your fault. Nobody taught you this. Nobody explained that attraction often disappears not because a man lacks value, but because he unknowingly removes the very emotional experiences that create desire. That is a sequencing problem, not a character flaw. You are not broken. You were simply never shown the map. So let's talk about the map. Evolutionary psychology suggests that human attraction relies heavily on subconscious evaluation, not conscious checklists, subconscious evaluation. The brain constantly scans for signals: strength, confidence, emotional safety, challenge, value, purpose, mystery. These signals operate through deep mental shortcuts developed over thousands of years. A woman may not consciously explain why she feels drawn toward one man and indifferent toward another, but her nervous system knows, her emotions know, her subconscious knows. And when she suddenly realizes she may have lost a man who triggered those signals, her behavior often changes in predictable ways. Today, you'll understand exactly why. Let's start with the first trigger: masculine presence. Not muscles, not money, not looks. Presence, grounded energy. The ability to remain calm and centered regardless of circumstances. When a woman believes she lost a man who carried this energy, she often becomes curious again. Why? Because grounded men are rare. Most people react emotionally. Most people chase. Most people panic. But a grounded man stays composed. Imagine this. She becomes distant. Instead of sending 5 messages, you send 1. Instead of demanding answers, you focus on your mission. Instead of collapsing emotionally, you continue building your life. She notices. Maybe she doesn't say anything, but she notices. Because emotional stability signals strength. Strength creates respect. Respect fuels attraction. The man who remains centered becomes unforgettable. Still waters run deep. Now here's where things get interesting. When she starts sensing that you've moved forward emotionally, another trigger begins activating: emotional challenge. This doesn't mean manipulation. It means polarity, playful tension, a sense that she cannot completely predict your reactions. Many men accidentally become too easy to read. every thought exposed, every feeling explained, every move announced. Mystery disappears, and with it, excitement. But imagine a different scenario. She sends a message after weeks of silence. Instead of responding with frustration, you respond with warmth and confidence. Maybe even a playful tease. Nothing aggressive, nothing bitter, just relaxed confidence. She expected neediness. She found composure. She expected resentment. She found strength. That contrast creates emotional movement, and emotional movement captures attention. Challenge creates intrigue. Intrigue creates investment. Stay warm, stay unpredictable. The third trigger is selective attention. This one changes everything, because attention is one of the most valuable currencies on earth. What people receive freely, they rarely value deeply. What becomes scarce, they notice. Now be careful. This isn't about pretending to be busy. It's about genuinely building a life worth living. A mission, friends, goals, experiences, purpose. When your world becomes larger than the relationship, something powerful happens. You stop chasing validation, and people begin sensing your value. Imagine she checks your social media. She sees growth, progress, adventure, momentum. She realizes your life continued, without resentment, without drama, without waiting. Suddenly, she begins wondering whether she underestimated you. That question matters, because curiosity creates emotional investment. The less you chase attention, the more meaningful your attention becomes. Value your time, others will too. If this is making sense so far, hit subscribe and join the Stoic Way community. It helps more men learn what they were never taught. Now let's go deeper, because the next trigger explains why some women unexpectedly return months later. Intentional listening. Most people hear words, very few hear people. A woman wants to feel understood, not managed, not fixed, understood. When she remembers a man who truly listened, that memory stays powerful, because emotional visibility is rare. Think about it. Maybe months ago she mentioned a childhood dream, a favorite book, a place she wanted to visit. Most people forget, but you remembered. Later you brought it up naturally, not to impress her, because you cared. That moment communicates something deeper than attraction. It communicates presence, attention, connection. And when she compares that experience to conversations that feel shallow elsewhere, she notices the difference. People remember how seen they felt around you. See deeply, remember deeply. The fifth trigger is calibrated vulnerability. This is where many men make mistakes. They either hide everything or reveal everything. Neither works. Real strength is balanced. Calibrated vulnerability means sharing truth without surrendering your center. It means being honest without becoming emotionally dependent. For example, imagine discussing a difficult chapter of your life. You don't present yourself as a victim. You don't seek pity. You simply share what happened, what you learned, and how you grew. That creates trust. Why? Because confidence without humanity feels cold. Humanity without confidence feels unstable. Together, they create authenticity, and authenticity is magnetic. When a woman realizes she lost a man who could be real without becoming weak, she often feels that absence. Strength and openness, together, never apart. Now let's discuss something many people misunderstand. Gradual physical touch. Respectful, natural, intentional. Human beings are wired for connection. Physical touch influences emotional bonding through mechanisms involving oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone. But timing matters. Respect matters. Calibration matters. A confident man doesn't force physical escalation. He allows comfort to develop naturally. Imagine walking together. A light touch on the arm during a laugh. A brief hand on her shoulder while guiding through a crowd. Simple, respectful, appropriate. These small moments create emotional associations, safety, warmth, comfort, connection. And when she remembers losing someone who made her feel those things, the memory can become surprisingly powerful. Connection grows slowly. That is why it lasts. Now we're approaching one of the most misunderstood aspects of female psychology. And this is where many men finally understand why certain women suddenly reappear after seeming completely uninterested. Controlled unpredictability. Remember those words. Controlled unpredictability. Not chaos, not inconsistency, not games. Controlled unpredictability. The human brain is highly sensitive to rewards that arrive with uncertainty. This involves dopamine, the anticipation chemical. When everything becomes perfectly predictable, emotional intensity often decreases. But when positive experiences arrive unexpectedly, attention increases. Imagine two men. The first sends the exact same messages every day. Same energy, same routine, same patterns. Nothing changes. The second man has a rich life. Some days he's available. Some days he's focused elsewhere. Some days he's traveling. Some days he's pursuing goals. Not because he's manipulating anyone, because he's genuinely living. His attention becomes meaningful because it isn't automatic. His presence feels valuable because it isn't guaranteed. When a woman realizes she lost access to that kind of energy, she often begins reconsidering him. She remembers the excitement, the spontaneity, the emotional movement, the feeling. And feelings are powerful, more powerful than logic, more powerful than explanations, more powerful than arguments. The strongest memories are emotional ones. Here's what happens next. When she truly believes she lost you, several behaviors may emerge. She may begin checking your social media more often, not because she's obsessed, because curiosity returns. She may start liking old photos, sending casual messages, finding reasons to reconnect. She may ask mutual friends about you. She may suddenly become warmer than expected. Sometimes she becomes reflective, sometimes nostalgic, sometimes surprisingly emotional. Why? Because loss creates clarity. Things often become more valuable once they are no longer available. This isn't limited to relationships. It's human nature. But there is a critical warning here. Never build your life around trying to trigger these responses. That misses the point entirely. The purpose of understanding psychology is not control. It is awareness. Real tools, not tricks. Use them with respect. Use them intentionally. Because the strongest position you can ever occupy is genuine self-development. Not performance, not manipulation, growth. A man who develops masculine presence is better regardless of who notices. A man who creates emotional challenge through confidence becomes stronger regardless of outcomes. A man who values his attention becomes more fulfilled regardless of validation. A man who listens intentionally builds deeper relationships everywhere. A man who practices calibrated vulnerability creates authentic trust. A man who understands respectful touch develops healthier connection. A man who lives with controlled unpredictability becomes more interesting because he is actually living. Notice the pattern? Every trigger improves your life first. Attraction is simply the byproduct. That's the secret. Most men try to become attractive. The wiser path is becoming valuable. Attractive is temporary. Valuable endures. And when a woman realizes she lost a valuable man, her behavior changes because her perception changes. She begins seeing what she overlooked. She begins feeling what she ignored. She begins noticing what she took for granted. Not because you convinced her, because reality revealed itself. This is why chasing rarely works. Chasing communicates fear. Growth communicates confidence. Neediness asks for value. Purpose creates value, and people respond differently to each. Think about the strongest men you've ever known. Not the loudest, not the richest, the strongest. They rarely begged for attention. They rarely forced outcomes. They rarely chased approval. They knew who they were. They knew where they were going. That certainty created gravity. People naturally moved toward them, women included. And that's the deeper lesson here. The goal is not making someone regret losing you. The goal is becoming someone whose presence leaves a lasting impact. Because once you become that man, something remarkable happens. You stop obsessing over who stayed. You stop obsessing over who left. You stop measuring your worth through someone else's choices. Instead, you focus on your path, your mission, your standards, your growth. Ironically, that's often the exact moment others begin noticing you differently, because confidence is attractive, purpose is attractive, peace is attractive, and peace cannot be faked. It must be earned. So if you're sitting here today wondering whether she regrets losing you, ask a better question. Have you become the man you were capable of becoming? Have you built the life you respect? Have you developed the habits, values, and strength that create genuine confidence? Because those answers matter more than any text message, more than any apology, more than any reconciliation. Your greatest advantage has never been convincing someone to choose you. Your greatest advantage is becoming a man who chooses himself, not selfishly, respectfully, intentionally. The moment you understand that, everything changes. You stop reacting. You start leading. You stop chasing. You start attracting. You stop performing. You start becoming. And that transformation is impossible to ignore. Remember, these are real tools, not tricks. Use them with respect and intention. You don't need perfection. You need strategy. You don't need to become someone else. You need to understand what was hidden from you, the psychology, the patterns, the signals, the deeper truths most people never explain. Because once you understand them, you walk differently, you speak differently, you carry yourself differently, you silently level up, and the world responds. If you're ready to stop chasing and start becoming the man women genuinely desire, subscribe to The Stoic Way now. Turn on notifications, because the next one will shift your reality again.